The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Hoop Ball Toronto Raptors basketball. It's going well. Everyone is happy. It's so easy to record one of these after they get creamed by two of the worst teams in the league. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Toronto Raptors basketball today. This is a Hoop Ball presentation. I am here with Kieran Smythe.
What's going on?
And Ben Harrison.
Yes, hello, any remaining Raptors fans.
And I am Brendan Hodgins. You can follow us on the program at Hoopball Raptors. You can follow Ben at Benny and the Raps. You can follow Kieran at K_Dilla. And you can follow myself at Brendan Hodgins. And if you get the chance, please go over to hoop-ball.com. That's hoop-ball.com for all of your basketball needs. If you're into DFS, if you're into fantasy, or you just want to bet on some stuff, go check it out, and you can find great material there, all things basketball at hoop-ball.com. Okay, guys. Well, that week did not exactly go as planned so far. I know there's still one game left, but wow. All right. We're just going to take the first game and shoot it directly into the sun. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything that can be learned from that Detroit game. It was clearly second half of the back-to-back, and no one looked like they had anything. It was a gong show from the very start. Was there anything that was different that you might have seen, Kieran, in that game, or you just, like me, forget about it?
Well, no, this was sort of the first game we saw anything from Gary Trent. So in that respect, it was good to see. Started to hit some shots finally, and got a ton of minutes, just being the young guy, I guess, the new guy. But yeah, no, beyond that, it was very much just a waste of time for us. But yeah, the big thing, and I think that might have been the return of Watanabe too. So yeah, saw him again, but yeah, nothing to take away from it really, other than it was good to start to see what Gary Trent can do. So, and then we really saw what he could do against OKC. So that was great.
Yeah.
Ben, anything in particular that's worth taking out of this game that you saw?
Not much other than Dwayne Casey's certainly getting the last laugh here. They're looking at a sweep of the Raptors this year, which I never thought I'd see in this lifetime. The only big note I had down for the Detroit game was we had 0 fast break points in the first half and only 2 for the whole game. And that's definitely not how we win games. That's not how this team plays, right? So when we're playing like that, there's just no hope. Shoot the game into the sun, like you said.
Yeah, it was another same story of rebounding and like bench scoring. I think in the first half, I think they said it was 30-4 bench scoring, and we had no field goals. That was 4 free throws from our bench players. So, we're still just not getting the production there. Still losing on the board, still losing the games.
Well,
yeah, and we're talking about a Detroit team with a bunch of guys on their bench that no one's ever heard of, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, like we said, Sun, enjoy that game because no one here did, other than, I guess, Detroit fans. Moving on to the one that has a little bit more stuff to talk about, but still ugly for the Raptors. Toronto OKC. OKC taking this one 113-103, and the Raptors at one point led by 14. So the second, it was a tale of two halves here. It was not pretty as soon as the third started, really. Kieran, any major things out of this game that you want to talk about off the top of your head?
No, just good. I mean, we got to see a little bit more of a few other extra guys in this one. Hood, though, went out, unfortunately, and I'm looking like maybe for the season we'll see, but a hip strain or something like that, I think it was. So that's no good. But yeah, no, this was the one that Gary Trent just went off, 31 points for his career best. So that's good to see that sort of so quickly out the gate. He's very much like Norm, though, like no assists, not much to speak of in that respect, but he's a scorer clearly, and like hustles on defense, got a couple steals, I think, and just some great defensive plays at the start to one in particular where he tied up, I forget who it even was, but led to a nice block by Boucher. Just great in that respect. Came out firing. Stanley Johnson too. We didn't see him shoot any shots in the Detroit game. Came out firing, hit his first 3 shots, ended up 4 for 5. So a couple nice things to see there. But there was just the same sort of offensive or the sort of rebounding struggles just keep plaguing us, and this was just so ugly. We gave off an offensive rebound off a free throw that led to another foul. Like that was, I had to turn it off for a little bit at that point, but I came back and didn't get any better. So, that was the
Ben and I were watching that game for a bit of it, and I think at one point it must have looked like I was watching the stock market plunge with Ben sitting beside me there. But Ben, was there anything from?
Happy.
No, well, it was the same mistakes over and over again. It's the definition of insanity. I don't know what's being said out there, or whether it's just the guys can't do it anymore. But you just watch the ball bounce off the rim with 5 guys staring at it, going right into the opponent's hands. But
Nurse said, I was watching a bit of the post-game interview, and he said, I forget the exact quote, but something to the effect of, we either didn't box out or we boxed out but didn't get the ball, and he called it a 2-part process. I was just like, shook my head. I was thinking, like, if this is the kind of rebounding coaching you're giving these guys, like, no wonder, because no kidding, he boxed out and just didn't get the ball. Like, what does that even mean? Like, get the ball.
But I don't know if rebounding is a coachable skill after a certain point. You learn how to rebound. Like you gotta go for the ball. It's more of an effort thing than anything. It's kind of like in baseball. There's a whole thing saying that like there are some guys that could steal 50 bases if they wanted to. They just don't want to. It's a skill that you have to want to do. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like you watch Aldridge now, and he used to be one of the major rebounding guys, and he doesn't want to get up there with the other team.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, like it is an effort thing, but when you see a stat like last night in Oklahoma, I thought it was a typo. We lost that rebounding battle 64-35. I mean, so
that's
like
just the offensive rebound.
Part of rebounding. No, not quite, but
that's.
But yeah, I mean, when the numbers are that staggering, like I think Kieran's right. Like there's something to be said for the coaching. I mean. It is an effort stat, but when you're getting bullied by Diallo, Plumlee, the G Leaguers in Oklahoma, there's something wrong. Like,
Baines had 2 rebounds.
I mean, we just don't have the personnel to really, but
we don't. But
yeah,
at the same time,
bad.
force them. Tell them I don't care about anything else. Just get me rebounds. I don't know.
Yeah, if we lose, against Golden State, okay, but just win the rebounding battle.
Yeah. Just let me see that. Just show me you have what it takes to get me some rebounds. If we still lose the game, we lose the game. But let's just, this is a huge spot. Like, it's a huge pop mark on our stat line right now.
Well, yeah, and I think what made it even worse last night, I checked out the rosters after the game, and, this wasn't even the full Oklahoma team. They had Shea Gilgeous, and Lou Dort, the 2 young Canadian hoopers there. They were both sitting out for this one, and they had just decided to bench Horford for the rest of the season. So, and we still got beat up by this team. So, I think that's the reason there's a lot of freaking out going on today in Raptors world. But
well, they shot less than 40% and didn't get any rebounds. You're not going to win if you're losing the rebound battle and you can't shoot, because obviously there's going to be lots of rebounds.
That was the other thing I saw. Yeah, that was the other thing I saw. It's as though shooting 43s a night wasn't enough. We took, 46 last night against Oklahoma. And it's not like more of them are going in, so. Tough times.
Yeah, no, that is definitely for sure. The third quarter, again, it was one of those things where the guys looked good going into the half. They had a pretty decent second quarter, and then just didn't have it again. It's like the halftime happened, and they sat down, and they never stood back up. It kind of seems like, especially the fourth was ugly. There was one point where I think they were 0 for 13 or something like that in the fourth.
Not to like put any excuses on anything, but that missed goaltending call. You guys saw that one?
Yeah,
I think we were down by
that.
6. Like that's a big pivotal moment where it's, we should have been within 4, and instead it led to, I think, a fast break on the other side and a quick bucket or something to that effect. So, at that point I was just like, okay, the game's over now. But I had that could have been, the little spark we needed or something. Could have easily just shifted the momentum at the end of the game like that. And just such a bad no call. I don't understand how like that no stoppage of play, no like re-looking at that and saying, oh yeah, we clearly missed that, like give them 2 points or anything. It's just, nope, we missed it. People are losing this. Fred was clearly upset on the court because obviously it was a goaltend. Announcers were talking about it, everyone saw it, refs didn't, so screw it, let's just play and not give them their points. Just a little frustrating.
One thing that I have to say about that though is, in the Raptors, I've noticed it a lot in the last few games, is they don't get the call and they just stop playing.
Yeah.
They just turn and look at the ref. It's like, no, the play's going the other way. You gotta get back into this. Yeah, you can bark at him as you're running. Lowry's made a career out of doing that, but
get your coach to start making a fuss. But play the game.
Yeah, it's the whistle.
Well, you can tell they're getting
frustrated,
right? Like they're not. You can tell they're not a team that's used to losing, right? For probably every guy on this team, they've been like a 50-win or better team for their whole careers, right? And now, first time everything's just going sideways. Even the guys who came up through the G League, they were championship teams back down there. Yeah. So not used to losing, these guys. You can definitely see the frustration showing with a lot of them, I think.
Now, part of it too, and we'll just quickly jump on Lowry. I guess has some sort of foot infection. I believe that's what I read, and that he's been dealing with all season. And he was expecting to play, but I guess it just didn't. It flared up. I haven't seen anything what type of foot infection it is, whether it's like athlete's foot or or toenail or something along those lines. It's kind of an odd injury. You don't really see it all that much. That could have explain why he was a little quiet the last game that he was in. Also, something that we briefly talked about, but they've come out and even started talking about it themselves. The guys that went out with COVID apparently are still feeling some of the effects. Not necessarily symptoms from the virus itself, but the after effects and like not being able to quite get right in their conditioning. Would you say that is like Kieran, you look at these guys playing, do you notice it might be something with the rebounds, like the effort stats? Do they look slower? Is there anything along those lines, or is it just kind of look like they're not playing well?
I don't know. It's tough. Like, I'm not going to, if they're saying that, then I'm sure that's at least a factor in, whatever's affecting them, but they don't look that bad out there. You know what I mean? Like Van Vliet's still putting up decent numbers. His shot's been a bit hit or miss. But he's getting steals. Siakam's actually like playing a little bit more aggressively. He's not always putting up the best numbers right now, but he's actually, taking the ball down low, being a bit more aggressive, not so much just a perimeter guy. So I don't know. I don't really notice it. If you didn't tell me they had COVID and I was just watching this half of the season, I wouldn't think anything was up with those guys on any given night. The odd game, sure, but and it's only been a few since. But I haven't noticed anything too out of the ordinary. So I don't know if maybe they're just trying to save a bit of face, throw an excuse out there, and but I wouldn't also doubt it that they're still feeling a bit of the effects. But they're still producing decent numbers. It's just they need some help.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Ben, is there anything specifically that you've noticed, or have you seen any quotes from anybody talking about this with the COVID guys?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like Kieran too. Like they don't look that bad, right? Some nights it's hard to put a point on what's going wrong, why we're losing so badly, But yeah, I have seen just in the past week or so a few quotes. Fred made some comments the other night about how the three guys, him, Siakam, and Anunoby, that tested positive, that they kind of keep hitting a wall conditioning wise. That some days they have it. Some days they don't. Some days the legs are there, the lungs are there. Some days they just aren't. And you know, yeah, you don't want to make excuses, but it does kind of give you a reason why, like, we're getting great individual performances some nights. You know, OG last night, Freddie on Monday, but we haven't been getting those team performances, right? And you know, maybe it kind of explains that, maybe not, but we have heard them talking a lot about it. Hopefully, yeah, it's not just fishing for excuses, but you know, you can't understand it a bit.
COVID definitely did something, because we were looking real good. COVID came and it just decimated us. I've never, like, it was such a crazy turnaround. So I wouldn't doubt that there's something going on still, but I don't think that there's enough of a thing that we can blame too much of our problems on that. It's much deeper than lingering COVID symptoms or whatever.
Yeah, on the note of COVID,
yeah, like it made sense to me when they were missing, like, the whole coaching staff, like, for
sure,
whatever it was, 10 days. Like, that makes sense, right? You got nobody at practice and all that. But you know, now we're pretty far removed from it and everything. So
yeah.
Now, on the note of COVID, it's probably a good thing they're not playing in Ontario right now, as you're very familiar. Somehow, Florida is a better place to be. Anyways.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard Doug Ford try to lock them down in Tampa, but they weren't having it.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, they can still go golfing, though.
Sure.
Yeah, with what you were just saying there, Ben, that goes back to what Kieran was saying before, where it was like, never more than one guy shows up on any given night. You're saying if everybody could just get together and decide that they're not going to play well on one night and then show up the next night and do it, that'd be great. But yeah,
take it easy for a couple games and then we'll try hard on Sunday.
Yeah, but they can't seem to get together for that meeting. It's always, like you said, you know, Anunoby had a pretty decent game this one, but Siakam didn't play quite as well. He got to the line a fair bit, which is nice, but you know, 38 minutes and 14 points. We're paying him to score.
22% from the field is
So
I noticed he was missing from like 2 feet out. You know, just couldn't buy anything. So was Malachi Flynn for that note, but
yeah. Well, he was part of I think he was a close contact, though. I don't think he was tested positive, but I know that he had to miss a game or two because of it.
That's right.
Yeah, but that first game there against, I think it was Detroit, where they got smoked. Anyways, we can sit here and talk about, or really it's more like speculating about whether or not COVID is the main thing that's mostly responsible for some of the poor play here from some of the guys, or not necessarily poor play, but just like, you know, you can see that they're lagging a little bit on certain days. Yeah, but obviously we don't know. We're not doctors, and we don't have COVID, so and also not, you know, premier athletes. So it's one of those things where hopefully it's not something that affects them for too much longer, you know, both just for their health, and so we can actually watch some basketball that isn't just heartbreaking. On that note, Gary Trent. This is kind of the reason why they went and got him. They want a guy that can play defense, who is sort of like a younger version of Norm Powell. Not that Norm's old, but, you know, it's the same idea. Kieran, you started talking about it a little bit. Do you want to expand on kind of some of your thoughts with Gary Trent Jr.?
Well, again, just from, what's it been, 4 games now, I think. I'm pretty impressed. The first couple were, you know, pretty brutal to watch. But again, he just looked lost, hadn't practiced, I'm sure, was kind of standing out there. Now he's moving a bit better on and off the ball, getting a bit more confident. I don't remember if it was the Detroit game or the OKC game, but he came out, like, I think he got the first shot and just, you know, immediately using him. So I think they made it a point to say, okay, like, you know, let's not just wait till we find him. Let's, like, make it a point, get him going, and it seems to have worked because he's had 2 great games. And like, very much like Norman Powell, like I said earlier, you know, low on assists, that kind of thing, but he's got the defensive intensity. He's a little taller than Norm. Just gives us a bit more size, and I think he'll, you know, if we keep him around, he's a great fit. He'll be a good cheaper alternative kind of thing and give us hopefully similar yields in the long run. So we'll see.
Yeah, Ben, do you want to expand on anything with Gary Trent Jr. here?
Yeah, he definitely arrived the other night. It's like you said, I saw a funny joke on Twitter. At halftime, he had 15 points, no boards, no assists, and they were like, "Oh, well, we have our Norman Powell. He's back." But I always have really high expectations for Masai Ujiri when he makes a trade. Ever since that first one, when he was able to fleece the Knicks out of a first-round pick for Andrea Bargnani. And it's starting to look like he might have done it again, right? Norm was probably going to walk. And he probably had a pretty good market for him on trade deadline day. But it's starting to look like a pretty good deal here, bringing in a 22-year-old Gary Trent Jr. Definitely looks like he's locked up that starting role, right?
Yeah,
and he just looks like one of our players. When the Raptors are good, we're built on defense and shooting, and that's exactly what he brings, right? I like his defense the best. Like, he's got that 22-year-old energy, flies around. He's in whoever he's covering, he's in his face the whole night, and he's even funny on social media. So, yeah, whole package there. I like it a lot.
What do we think in hindsight now that it's been a little bit of the Lowry no trade? To be happy with that? Like, I was okay with it, but the more time goes on, I feel like had we made a trade there, I would have enjoyed the rest of the season more.
The only thing there's so much that can still happen with that, right? Like, you can still, and we'll get into this in a second here, but you can still do a sign and trade if he doesn't want to be here at the end of the year. Still get a package for him that helps the team, and if he wants to go somewhere else, gives him the opportunity to go play. And other teams also tend to be a little bit more receptive to that sort of thing in the off season because there's less, are we tanking, are we going up, well, what do we need, what are we trying to get, move on with. There's a whole off season for them to make plans. Also, I'm starting to go ahead, Ben, sorry.
Oh, just I know what you mean though, Kieran. Just seeing Gary Trent Jr. It's kind of exciting, a new face in here. So if as much as we love Kyle, if he had gone on somewhere and say we brought in somebody I don't know, Matthias Thybulle or Tyrese Maxey from Philly, we'd get to be. Despite the losing, we'd get to have a look at them now. It'd be a little more exciing. So I kind of know what you mean. But
he's missed half the games since then. It's just
that too, right?
You think that might be part of it, though? I was kind of thinking that maybe they had to disclose the fact that he is not 100% healthy when they're going to do these trades, right? Because there's always going to be a physical, and so that's why we weren't able to get. Maybe they weren't going to give, the Philly wasn't going to give up the Tyrese Maxey.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
so could very well have been.
You're getting the dregs of their lineup that we are already having issues with our bench, right? So why do you just want different guys on the bench that can't play?
Yeah.
But hindsight's 2020 when it comes to Lowry. We still have 30 more games to figure that out. So let's hopefully get some at least exciting basketball in, or they can go the other way, which is something that I think we need to kind of start talking about. Is it time for the tankathon? Do we go for, try to get as low as humanly possible, the lottery, get somebody like a Cade Cunningham or an Evan Mobley? Kieran, do you think it's time to just pull the plug on this, or do you think they can win 20 of the next 30 and make a play for the playoffs?
I don't think you need to try to lose, especially when we're doing so well at it right now. Apparently not trying. But that also might just be in the works. Maybe we're just resting Lowry because, he had a hangnail and, just resting Lowry. And because we're seeing a lot more minutes from, the bench guys, whether they're producing or not, which kind of leads me to believe that we're just going to, give them their time, let's see what they can do now, use this as kind of information and data for the future. And, win or lose, we're, with the way we've been playing, it's probably going to go the lose route. So I don't know that we need to full on, any more aggressively than we're already doing. Like I think with the amount of minutes that, guys like Flynn are getting and everything like that, who generally don't produce much. I'm not saying we're already trying to tank, but I don't know what you do more short. And I don't think you should be telling these guys, look, let's just try to lose for the future kind of thing. Like, no. But I think, yeah, you give the lesser guys more of a role. Tell them, hey, do your best, try to win. Probably not going to win most of our games like that. And, but, you get them a little bit of confidence, especially if some of these guys are going to be around for a few years. I think that could go a long way for the future, and also leave us in a low enough spot that we can, get a good draft pick and, hopefully make a few moves and put ourselves in a good spot to bounce back sooner rather than later.
Okay, Ben, do you feel the same way? It's like maybe not actively tank, but maybe go into the passive tank and kind of get the younger guys a little bit of time?
The passive tank, there's a modern phrase for you. Like up until, I don't know, a week or two, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I probably wouldn't have agreed here with the tankathon, as we call it. But reality is reality, right? We've lost 15 of 17 games, including just getting spanked by two teams who, are purposely tanking. So, it's probably time to let it go. I saw a few stats today that right now, believe it or not, the Raps are sitting with a 32% chance of getting a top 4 pick in the draft. And that's, with our current standings, so it's only going to get better from there, right? Sorry, I had a couple others here. We're now 70-1 to win the championship, and by far the worst odds to win the division, including the New York Knicks are now ahead of us. So it's probably time to. Exactly. Never a good sign. So I would forgive Raptors fans if they've been switching over to March Madness these past few weeks, and. I got no problem if we start going for Cade or for Mobley or whoever else is at the top of the draft.
Okay, speaking of Cade and Mobley, do you know very much about either of those guys, Ben, or do you have anything that you've seen them play some ball and their styles?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. I haven't watched as much college ball this year as I normally would, but I am a sucker for those YouTube, highlight compilations of their high school years when they're just dominating terrible competition and dunking over everybody. So Cade Cunningham looks legit. Like, I think he's got the most NBA-ready frame since LeBron. At that wing spot, I think it could easily be as impactful as Zion. Not kind of the same, freakish level physicality that Zion has, but definitely as much of a player. Evan Mobley there, he's probably a better fit just based on what we need, I guess. But the only problem there is, rookie centers, they tend to take a lot longer to develop, right? He can't step in next year and be impactful, especially on defense. So
he has the exact same frame as Chris Boucher. I think he's like 6'11", 200 pounds.
Oh, let's not do that again. We got enough of those guys.
I think he looks like he's going to grow into it a little bit more than Chris Boucher does, but yeah. So Cade Cunningham's the one everybody wants, right? Like, he just instantly puts you on the map. You'll get 15 national games next year on TV if you bring him in. So
I read
that would be great. I know New Orleans jumped into first, and I think they finished 8th last year, right? So we got hope.
Nice. Okay, well, either one of those guys, or Green is another guy that's getting a little bit of chatter out there. So if you can get near the top, whether you don't need to be the number 1 overall pick, if you don't get Cade, well, obviously you want him, but if you don't get him, there's some pretty good options. I think, Kieran, you were saying it seems like a pretty deep draft for that you've heard, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's going to be a good draft year. I don't know many of the names or anything like that, but I guess the talent pool is pretty high, so that's at least exciting. And we'll have a couple second-round picks because of our couple trades there. So who knows what the future holds. But, Yeah, and it's tough. Like if we're drafting for a guard or something like that, then we're going to have to make a move. Because if we start this next season without a big man or someone who can, come close to averaging us double digit rebounds, I don't know how much of it I can watch. Like that's it. How long are we going to say this? Like, and they know it's not like this is a secret. So, yeah, that's my biggest focus. But definitely, I'm not going to be upset about getting some raw talent like that and seeing what we can make of it. So.
Yeah, I think the front office really underestimated the impact of losing Serge Ibaka, I think, because he wanted to stay, right? Mm-hmm. And we kind of kept the powder dry for Giannis, but that didn't work out. But yeah, and even if the ping pong balls bounce and we get the number 6 overall pick, it's still like a really good trade chip, even if we don't use it in the draft, right? So. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. That's what you do when you're losing, right? Is look forward to the off season. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. You got to look forward to something. And you guys are just kind of talking about maybe not necessarily trades, but trying to get a big man. And if it's not coming in the draft, there's some guys that look like they're coming available for free agency, but. No one that's gonna absolutely step in and be, a world beater. You got like an Otto Porter Jr. or, a Kelly Oubre Jr. might be a good piece to pick up. Hmm. Like he's supposed to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. I think they have bird rights, but still. And then Kelly Olynyk, another guy that we were talking about. He kind of fits the mold for a Raptor, right? He can shoot the 3, space the floor, but he also will go and get some rebounds.
Bring him back to Canada.
Yeah. Ben, was there anybody specifically in the free agent market that you've been sort of watching, thinking that they're going to come available, that you might like the Raptors to go take a look at, kick the tires?
Well, Kelly Olynyk would definitely be nice, if not just for a story than anything else. I think he was born and raised right in Toronto, right? So he'd be okay, although, kind of swing kind of low, for being honest, talent-wise. I know, Brendan, you like to talk about Bradley Beal. He's, been in the news, trade rumors for 2-3 years now, despite the fact that all he ever does is say he's dedicated to his team. But, we like to talk when teams are losing. So I don't know. Like he's one guy that could become available. It's hard to see who's going to be out there this off season. You never really know. I haven't taken too much of a look at who's going to be a free agent. I know I would particularly
say Otto Porter Jr. is probably going to be one. Like he got traded to a team that isn't going anywhere fast.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to be probably looking at a paid decrease, though, I think, right? Like, he was on a max deal when they
making like 27, I think, just shy, yeah?
Yeah, and I don't think he was earning it, right? So they threw him in that deal for Vucevic to match the salary, of course, but definitely not a long-term piece for Orlando. So he'll be available, but again, that's like wing depth, the way OG Anunoby's playing, and if Siakam doesn't find himself in a trade, and with Gary Trent Jr., I don't know how much we need on the wing. You may end up needing to replace Kyle Lowry, I guess, and that would probably be that'll be a huge hole, right, if he leaves. So we'll see, but
I feel like Kyle Lowry's, obviously he's getting up there in age. Like his minutes are they're gonna go down for sure. So I think regardless of whether he's there or not, like we still need a little bit more support than just. Well, I guess we got with Trent and Van Vliet now. But if he's definitely, I think, and if he stays around, I think he's going to need a bit more help than he has in the past. And his numbers lately have kind of been showing that his scoring is going down. He's still, getting those assists and putting himself out there, playing defense, getting charges. But I think offensively, I think we'll see a bit of a further decline for Kyle as things go on if he sticks around. So definitely need to be reinforcing that position as well as the big guy thing we're talking about. So
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do the Kyle Lowry bench mob with this kind of bench that we have going on right now and make it work. So that makes a lot of sense, and that's probably one of the reasons why his numbers are down a bit. You know, we ask him to play a pretty tough role that isn't extremely rewarding a lot of the time, and it's, you know, you can only do so much if the guys around you aren't finishing up, right? So
Yeah.
that's a good point. Now, that's why I did, like, obviously we're playing all sorts of games here, but the idea of doing a sign and trade with Kyle Lowry, if he wants to leave, and then you have a bunch of pieces that maybe you can include in another deal to go after a guy like Beal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beal's putting up
and
monster
like,
numbers too.
Yeah, and it's like Brennan said, there's definitely going to be more suitors for him in the offseason for a guy like Kyle Lowry, more than... I think there's only about 3 serious teams at the trade deadline. There's going to be more than that in the offseason. You know, and like, like you never know when Michael Jordan's going to do something crazy in Charlotte, like they did with Hayward in the sign and trade this offseason. You know, maybe they send us someone like Miles Bridges in the in a swap, I don't know, try and make a run over there. But you never know. Hopefully they can get some value out of him, or at least re-sign him at a lower number. But
there's also always that thing, and now we're starting to get really into the bizarre stuff here. But technically, Kawhi and Ibaka are player options coming up this year. So... You know, they both decline, come back. Let's get the band back together here.
Yeah. I'm sure they're talking, you know, in the locker room before they go out about next year coming back to the Raptors. How much of a mistake they made.
Oh, the group text.
Yeah, exactly. They're still in the group chat.
Yeah, they're all on WhatsApp there, sending, you know, messages back and forth and memes, and, you know, wanting to come back north. Speaking of, I guess they'd be going south somehow, but if it's still in Tampa. But there was a funny thing I saw. Someone out there on Twitter posted what each team is as far as alcoholic beverages go.
Okay.
And there were some pretty funny ones. Like, some of them were like, you know, the Clippers were like a 20-year-old scotch. It's like not everybody's thing, but probably the best thing on the shelf. And then what was it? The Pelicans were Jagger and Red Bull, and they're just like, and then all it was a gif of Zion just completely smashing the bucket. Okay. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And what they said for the Raptors was they're a nice imperial stout. It's like not for everybody and very good, but really you only want it when it's cold out. And it's like, yeah, they got to get back up with the cold, man.
Okay, yeah. I can see it.
Oh, jeez.
That's why Twitter's amazing and horrible all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a few interesting things that can be done in the off season to improve the team. Also, you know, it could go the other way and everybody just leaves. But we're looking to be a little more optimistic than that. I think for Gary Trent, he's a restricted free agent, right?
I believe so.
That's right, and he's only got a cap hold of like $2 million, which I think is part of the reason they went for that trade, because it frees up even more cap space for the free agency signing period. So if they do try and make a big swing, having his hold versus Norm's, whatever it was, $12 million cap hold is a little more advantageous. But
you know, Carmelo Anthony is a free agent this year.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Dust him off, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that walking bucket there. Hassan Whiteside.
Okay.
Like there's some guys that, you know, don't exactly, you know, make your brain dance in your head here, but they you know, NBA experience with a little bit of size. I was joking about Carmelo Anthony, but Hassan Whiteside,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's a big center. That's a big man that can do exactly, you know, if you only ask him to do one thing, he can make it happen. You don't want to center your offense around him, but it's definitely a skilled player.
Yeah.
Well, we got scorers, right? Like, we still have people who can put up shots, shoot, and if we're missing, hopefully get a couple extra offensive rebounds a game with someone like that. So, we don't need you to be a big scorer. Pick up some garbage, and, you know, that's it.
Yeah, the one I was thinking about when I was watching Oklahoma just destroy us was DeMarcus Cousins, but it looks like he's going to the Clippers, unfortunately. He was out there for like a month unsigned, but that's too bad.
He did that weird thing that we were talking about, the 10-day contract. I guess he's just mostly going in there to do a physical and see if he could still, play it all this year.
Right.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, that pretty much wraps up what we were looking to get into here with the free agent / kind of like minor trade market there. Of course, it's all speculations. We have to see how the draft goes, what pick they get, because that'll be a whole thing, whether or not they want to include that in the trade.
How we finish the season, all that.
Yeah, exactly. If Lowry, maybe they just sit Lowry for the rest of the year, too. At some point, it's going to be part of the discussion. Like, if he is 35... and is there a point in running him out there just to get run over every game? Like, the style of play that he plays isn't great for your body, and if it's not to win,
No.
I read something that we have the second worst record right now, and the seventh worst record, and the seventh toughest schedule coming up for the remainder of the season. So,
Yeah.
Good luck.
yeah, there you go.
A perfect storm. Yeah.
Speaking of the rest of the season here, I guess we should kind of look into what we are coming up against next. Golden State is the game on Sunday, right? Back here?
Friday?
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday. Jeez, this week is getting away from me. Friday, the game
Tomorrow.
on Friday.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, and then they don't play for the weekend. That's
till
what's
Monday,
weird about this one.
Lakers,
yeah.
I think, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, good.
At least no LeBron, no Anthony Davis, so that is a slightly more winnable game. But the Lakers are still no joke even without those guys.
Well, Curry was out recently. Is he back? Does anyone know?
He is back. I was watching.
He's back. Okay.
I was watching him tear up Miami.
Just
a couple hours ago. Here, he went for
36 points,
35 or so tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
He's back.
Yeah, he's there. Okay. That'll be a tough one. It'll be a good showcase for our defense, though. We'll see what we can do against that.
Now,
and I'm looking forward to seeing James Wiseman go for like 25 or 30 rebounds. So that should be fun.
Exactly. Yeah, if fantasy note, if you need rebounds on the fly here, James Wiseman, he might be out there. A lot of people held on to him even through his kind of shoddy play throughout the beginning of the year, or inconsistent. Shoddy's not the right word, but if he's out there and you need rebounds, go get him for Friday, because he is going to go off. It's going to be a Moses Brown type game there. Is there something? Basically, we're just watching the rebounds for this game, right? Seeing if they can fix that a little bit. Thinking Anunoby's going to guard stuff.
Anunoby, or I like to say I would throw Trent on him a bit.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's probably the best way to do it. I don't mean like nobody really guards Steph, but
but he's Trent's been getting a lot of minutes. He's young. He's got energy. So throw him on him. Say stick to him, and just don't let him shoot, kind of thing. Let the other guys score.
Or do they bust out Fred on him in the box and one? Give him a little taste of a couple years ago.
The finals. Yeah, no, I'm sure he will love that.
On Crazy Stats, they posted Fred VanVleet became the first Raptor. So his stat line yesterday was 18 points, 7 assists, 5 steals, 4 rebounds, 4 blocks, and was the first Raptor ever to have at least 4 of every stat line. So
the 5x4.
He almost did the 5x5, which would have been something for a guy who's 6'1".
6'1", undrafted. He just keeps adding to this undrafted list of, I'm sure if you looked at undrafted players, he'd probably be maybe one of the only ones, if not the only. So crazy.
Yeah, he'll probably go down as like the highest paid ever undrafted player. I gotta think, right, when it's all said and done. Like,
I can't imagine. Yeah, who would be getting contracts. More? Wouldn't be someone from long ago because they just didn't earn enough. So yeah, I would say it's a safe bet.
So I'm just looking ahead here, but it's actually we have the Wizards on Monday.
Wizards, okay.
Which
Bradley Beal, you got an audition here,
Yeah, it should be a very winnable game. It depends, because he's been kind of in and out lately, so he might not make the game. But another game that they should win, and hopefully it's not us pulling our hair out here, And then I think, then it's, of course, on the back-to-back, the Lakers are the next day. So
that's what it was, in the back-to-back. Okay. I knew they were coming up.
Right.
That's even worse. So this is what, 2 out of we had 8 back-to-backs or something like that in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think this is our third.
Third? Okay.
Yeah, but...
Right.
Because I think we have one right out of the gate, and then we have these coming up. But yeah, tough, like you said, it's going to be a tough schedule, and it's not looking like a great team as far as the last little bit. So expect a little bit more, hardship here, Raptors fans. But the season's almost done. Maybe they turn it around. You never know. We would love to have that. But if they don't, let's start thinking about what the future holds for us and all those things that we talked about.
Yeah, if you're watching games right now, watch them to watch the new talent and see what they can do and, see how we do on defense, rebounds and things. But don't watch it to, get your heart broken because we don't win. Get that out of your mind. Be pleasantly surprised when we win. But, to get something out of it, focus on what the new guys are doing, the young guys are doing, the bench is doing, and look for those positives. Because I don't think we're going to see too many wins for the remainder, but there's still some things to take away from this, and that'll help us look forward. So,
all right, well, let's.
Then we can all have a party for draft lottery day there, where you watch
a socially distanced party.
Yeah.
Of
course.
Yeah, we'll all just sit in the backyard and put the TV on inside.
Yeah, look through the window.
The only other thing I wanted to mention, Brendan brought it to my attention, was the for any Raptors fans, you want to go over to the Players Tribune and check out the piece that Norm Powell wrote. As kind of a thank you to Toronto and all his teammates and coaches and everything. Really good piece. Yeah. I started. I kind of pulled over my car. I thought it was going to be a quick read, and then I ended up on the side of the road for 15 minutes. But he's got a lot of memories, a lot of moments, a lot of Raptors history there. Even go back to DeMar DeRozan and stuff, and just a really, really good read. Really worth your time. So.
Oh, and it looks like we're going to be without 5 Raptors tomorrow. Kyle Lowry, Rodney Hood, Jalen Harris, Pat McCaw, and Paul Watson. So
there you go. Well,
Pat
McCaw, he's also another big free agent coming up next year.
Yeah, we'll see you later, Pat McCaw.
That's okay.
Goodbye.
Ben will be the first guy watching him leave the stadium there.
Yeah.
But we'll try to get out here on a positive note with that little thing about Norm. It is true. You do have to go read that. He's an extremely well-spoken man, and it comes through very well in that piece that he wrote. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back probably at some point on the weekend to talk a little bit. But, this is Brendan Hodgins here with Kieran Smythe.
Take care.
And Ben Harrison.
Have a great weekend. Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter out there, everybody. Hopefully you get through this lockdown just as, smoothly as you possibly can. And as always, we love you, B. And have a good one. We'll see you guys on the weekend. Bye-bye.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.